Hello, Debate Club. This is me, Barlex, hosting another episode of Downfall of Debate Club, where I catalog the downfall of the Debate Club, different events, people, and circumstances that led to the Debate Club's fall off. Today's episode is going to be focused on a member that some of you may know and some of you may know well. Acytarst, aka Chris. He's been a member who's predated the Debate Club. He was in the Star Wars Alliance, so I bet a lot of people are going to be shocked to see this one coming second after the Charlie video came out so recently. But I think we really have to just dig our teeth in at Acytarst because it's going to be really important. So, Acytarst, Chris, whatever you want to call him, I'll probably switch between the two. He was somebody in Alliance, and he's always been like top of the B team, where like sometimes you might even feel like he's a main character of the server, but then other times you realize that he's just here to try to e-crack, and so it's like, whatever, you know, we're happy to have him. A little bit of backstory on him: he's friends with Bon H, IRL friends with Bon H, and I think he dropped out of high school, and he's got a lot of self-confidence. It's very apparent that he's got a lot of self-confidence based on what the hell he's be posting and shit and sending to Debate Club and all that. So he's a very confident individual, so confident he could drop out of school without a job or anything lined up. So let's see. We're gonna start kind of in the back because this is gonna set up for the future, but there's a character named Mallory who many of you guys probably know, and Acytarst and Mallory had like a E thing going on for a while where he would try to like be nonchalant and pretend like he wasn't into her, but then she would just like say like, "Hey Chris," and then he'd like DM her and be like, "I like you" and stuff, and so they would like try to e-date and then they'd fail at e-dating and stuff. So really common occurrence. It got under people's skin, notably Bond's, because Bond likes Mallory, and so they would be fighting and stuff, and then Chris would go into these periods of inactivity. He'd be laying dormant, and then he'd kind of resurface unsuccessfully a few times, and then somebody would just be desperate enough in voice chat to talk to him, and so then he'd be like top of B team again. But you know, the Mallory situation, it's something that's happened over and over again, right? And you know, whenever Chris comes on, it's to talk to a girl most likely 4 or 5 years younger than him. We got the new one, Harley. We got Shelly. We got Mallory is outlier because she's older than him, but you know, he's just coming after the women, you know, and it makes some people uncomfortable, and so it kind of leads to like his character fall off. Anyways, me and bassist Alex, whatever you want to call him, one day we were just kind of messing around, and I think Moth was involved in it too, and then Chris replied to something I said, and he said "grown ass man," by the way, and you know, it caught everybody off guard because it's like, whoa, this is our server, like, why are you stepping up to us? And so everybody was kind of like, "Chris, are you okay?" And he just kind of doubled and tripled and quadrupled down. He was just using every, you know, tactic in the book. He was like, "I'm a minor. I can't believe you guys are this obsessed with me. I'm also hotter than you guys, blah, 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 blah." And so it's just like, it was just a really poor performance for Chris, and he just never stepped down. He never apologized. He never backed down. Never what? Sorry. Yeah, so it was just kind of like really embarrassing, and it kind of forced him out of the limelight for a while. And if he came in, like, all you had to do is say like "grown ass man," by the way, and then he'd log back off because he just knew he lost that argument really bad, you know. And so it kind of just led to his deterioration, and then, you know, it was really controversial for him, but he would keep trying to crawl his way back in, mostly to like Mallory's good graces and stuff. And throughout the "grown ass man," by the way, situation, like, he went after Bon H a couple times. There's some DMs somewhere where he's like, "I can't believe you're choosing your onlines over your IRLs," which is kind of weird because I don't even think Chris and Bon meet up IRL like ever. But you know, if they do, like, whatever, you know, that's cool, you can do that. But I just feel like it's a little weird if you're gonna like call somebody out for taking onlines over IRLs when you're not even IRLs, you know. Yeah, like, their relationship is more online than IRL, like, let's be for real. And also, like, IRL, they don't do much overlap, you know. They have like comics and stuff, but otherwise it's like the same shit. So like, I don't really know where he's going with that personally. Like, he did drop out of high school, so his critical thinking skills are pretty low, and that'll come into something later. But the grown-ass man situation, it really hurt his character, it really hurt his credibility, and he had to take a hiatus for a while. He took a sabbatical from the debate club. He was just not welcome for the debates because he used every dirty trick in the book and still lost. So that brings us kind of closer to present day. Chris did get forgiveness from Basic and Barlex, honestly, pretty quickly, but we were still messing with him, but we forgave him pretty quickly because we need our top of our B team active, so that our other B-listers have somebody to look up to, thinking that one day they might almost be in the A team too. So Chris was doing all that, and then so recently there's this girl who joined named Harley. Now Harley's kind of a hard person to put a pin on because she says she's 13, she says she's 17, she says she's 11, and every single time she says an age, she'll stick to it for a while and then move on to a different age that's more convenient for the time. So it's really kind of difficult to just put a pin on what's going on with Harley. But, Harley joined off TikTok. Chris found her on TikTok, gooned to her on TikTok, and then brought her to debate club. Not really sure why he did that, considering his reputation here, but he brought her to the debate club, and then he started flirting with her in voice chat, and it was making everybody really uncomfortable, and we were all just kind of like, all right, whatever, that's classic Chris, hopefully he doesn't do this for too long. And then it kind of all fell apart a couple weeks later when Harley released some DMs where Chris found out that she was not actually whatever the hell age she said, but 9 years younger than she claimed. And he said, whoa, I've already jacked off to you 40 times. So let's just pause right there. I at this point, I don't think there was any nude sent, so he's actually just jacking off to a picture of somebody. How goon brain do you have to be to just look at a picture of somebody and get an erection, that's crazy. And jack off to it. This guy might be a bigger virgin than Nasir. I'll say it. I don't know if Nasir's ever done that, but if he has, at least he's had the decency to not report himself like that. So, anyways, that was said, and then, but the DMs came out because one night Bon H was drunk, and Bon H was kind of getting jealous of Chris a little bit, and so he just was going hard in the paint. He was calling Chris a predator and all this shit, and we were all like, damn. And Bon H was just calling him predator and shit, and Chris couldn't even step up to Bon in this one either. It was like a repeat of Grown Ass Man, by the way. And he just had to keep trying to deflect and trying to gaslight, but Bon was drunk, so he wasn't having none of that. He didn't have the mental capacity to even realize that Chris was trying to bait him, because he had one focus in mind, and he was barreling towards it like an angry David Wynn. When David Wynn sees Bon H's computer plugged in, he's just barreling towards the power cord. Go unplug that shit. And so Chris, he went inactive for a while after kind of getting exposed for being a little creepy to Harley, but now he's back again, and he's still doing the same shit with Harley since it's all came out. It's I guess he feels like now that everybody knows, he's safe to keep doing it, but it's still mad weird. But now Bon H is also crushing on Harley a little bit. When she joins voice chat, he starts acting a little bit more tough, a little bit more nonchalant. His voice pitches up a little higher, and it's all right, whatever. We've seen this route ran so many times before. We got Mallory, we got everybody else that it's happened. It's happened to Mallory probably more times than I can count on one hand, So, the modern day fall off for this right now is crazy, because now this is 2025. Chris versus Bon on a girl in 2025, bro. Let's be so fucking for real. Chris has also realized that being a high school dropout isn't very financially stable, and so he's trying to get a job, but he doesn't have a diploma, so he can't get a job. So he's been, I won't say begging, but he's been begging really hard Spaz to drop some wisdom on how to get rich quick. And so he's like, hey Spaz, do you got any manuals? He's not reading that shit. He's just asking Spaz if there's any high risk, high reward investments he can start running so that he can just start making crazy bank. But let's be real, this guy doesn't have the capital to invest, and he doesn't have the game to realize if it's a good or bad investment, And Spaz, he's smart. He's not going to give somebody financial advice, because I come back to bite him in the rear. So he's not going to give Chris any high risk, high reward. Why would you ask somebody for a high risk, high reward? Why don't you low risk, low reward? Get Solon said he build up the game. You know, hey, what would you recommend as a starter? Not to say that you're giving him advice, but how did you start? You know, just like learn. And then he's asking for e-manuals, but yeah, he's not reading that shit. He's too busy looking at pictures of Harley on TikTok, you know? I mean, here's a little scoop. Basic and Bond have Harley on Instagram, and that's really weird for Basic regardless, but you know, they both got her, and she said that she got Chris on Instagram. Chris made a private Instagram to upload pictures of himself for Harley to see on a different Instagram. Like, how the hell what goes through your brain to do that? It's so weird. Yeah, it's just so freaking weird. Anyways, so that's kind of like the modern day fall off. You know, the cycle is going to continue. Chris is going to make stupid decisions, and soon enough he's not going to have the capital to keep investing in like these new Instagram accounts to try to trap young girls. And I think he's nearing 18 within like a year or two, so like he's really got to like lock in or get locked up, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's the downfall of the Debate Club. Next episode will be focused on Ella, computerist Ella, and it'll be really important. We'll have a guest speaker on that episode. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. See you on the next one.